Hi, listeners. Today we're going to talk about behavior. First of all, behavior it refers to any observable or measurable action or reaction of an organism. Behavior can range from simple actions like blinking or smiling to complex behaviors like driving a car or solving a math problem. Um, Behavior could be divided in some kind of things that may cause it. At first, we have stimulus, that is, any object, event, or situation that elicits a response from an organism. It can be anything that excites the sensory organs of an organism, such as light, sound, touch, taste, or smell. For example, the smell of food can be a stimulus that triggers the behavior of eating. We have another one that actually is the response of an stimulus. A response is the specific reaction or behavior elicited by a stimulus. It is the observable outcome of the interaction between an organism and its environment. Response can be voluntary or involuntary, and they can vary in complexity. For instance, pulling your hand away from a hot stove is a response to the stimulus of heat. We have two things that may reinforce or punish that actions, like that response. First one, we have reinforcement. It refers to the process of strengthening a particular behavior by providing a consequence that increases the likelihood of that behavior occurring again in the future. There are two main types of reinforcement: positive, which involves presenting a desirable stimulus after a behavior to increase the likelihood of that behavior occurring, and the negative one, which involves removing an aversive stimulus after a behavior to increase the likelihood of that behavior occurring. For example, giving a treat to a dog after it performs a trick, it is positive reinforcement, while taking away a chore for completing homework is negative reinforcement. And the last one, we have the punishment that actually we said before. It refers to the process of weakening a particular behavior by providing a consequence that decreases the likelihood of that behavior occurring again in the future. Like reinforcement, punishment can also be positive or negative. Positive punish involves presenting an aversive stimulus after a behavior to decrease the likelihood of that behavior occurring, while negative involves removing a desirable stimulus after a behavior to decrease the likelihood of that behavior occurring. For instance, giving a time out to a child for misbehaving is an example of negative punishment, while adding extra chores as a consequence of misbehavior is positive punishment. These concepts are central to understanding how organisms learn and adapt to their environment, and they are widely used in various fields such as psychology, education, and animal training.
Wow, how interesting. I would like to talk about a way to modify behavior. This is called operant conditioning. It is a type of learning in which behavior is modified by its consequences, that is, by the environment that surrounds it. It was developed by the psychologist Bruce Frederick Skinner, who described it in detail in his work, The Behavioral Organisms and Science and Human Behavior. In operant conditioning, behaviors that are followed by pleasing consequence tend to repeat, while those followed by unpleasant consequence tend to decrease. This approach focuses on how voluntary actions are influenced by their environment and the consequence they generate.
In the clip Operant Conditioning by Big Bang Theory, we talk about how the situation involves Sheldon proposing to use operant conditioning techniques to modify Penny's behavior, prompting Leonard to intervene due to concerns about his potential harm and intrusiveness. In this clip, Sheldon proposed conditioning Penny, the neighborhood and Leonard's love interest, to modify her behavior according to his preference. So, Penny is being conditioned. The desired behavior, according to Sheldon, is for Penny to exhibit traits or behavior that he considers ideal for a girlfriend, which he believes can be achieved through positive reinforcement techniques like those used in operant conditioning.
In the dialogue, Sheldon explicitly mentioned using the operant condition techniques based on the work of psychologists like Thorndike and Skinner. He says you are using chocolates as a positive reinforcement for what you consider correct behavior. This refers to him giving Penny chocolates when she exhibits behaviors he wants to encourage, which is an example of positive reinforcement in operant conditioning. Later, Sheldon states, using positive reinforcement techniques, I could train that behavior of the hair in a week. He is suggesting he could eliminate undesirable behaviors in Penny through positive reinforcement within a week's time. Sheldon then brings up negative reinforcement as I was saying, if you let me use negative reinforcement, I can get done before we go to bed. He proposed using very mild electric shocks, not tissue damage whatsoever, as a form of negative reinforcement to shape Penny's behavior more quickly. Throughout the dialogue, Sheldon is clearly attempting to modify Penny's personality traits and behaviors that he finds unsafe, such as her loud, by employing operant condition methods of positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. This aligns with the principle of operant conditioning development by researchers like Skinner. Based on the stimuli and response display, several predictions can be made using operant conditioning principles. The chocolate use a positive reinforcement will likely increase the frequency of behaviors. Sheldon deems the zero in Penny. Constantly reinforcing alternative response could lead to the extinction of underserved behaviors like her street loud. Negative reinforcement via mild electric
In
shocks
real
may
life,
temporarily
people see
suppress
it in
unwanted
elementary school when
conduct
they
but
implement a
often
reward system
has
about homework.
underserved side
They
effects.
encourage students to
The
complete the homework
reinforced
on time
behaviors
and with
could
good effort.
generalize to the
Students
other
who make
contexts
criteria
beyond
and
Sheldon's
rewards
presence.
who can be
However,
changed by
if
short process
reinforcement
time
is
or small
discontinued and
prizes.
extinction
This
bursts
system
may
exemplifies
initially
operant
occur
conditioning,
before the
where
behavior
positive
demise
reinforcement, the
over
rewards,
time.
is used to
While
strengthen the
Sheldon
behavior of
techniques
completing
will
homework
likely
promptly
modify
and with
Penny's
effort.
behavior initially, further research will be needed to assess to their long-term effectiveness.
Okay, thank you, girls. With all of this information, I think it can it easier for our reach to understand this topic. See you in the next episode. Bye bye.